This week's reflection comes from Archbishop Hambidge and is prompted by a verse from the prophet Isaiah.
I have a number of favourite passages or verses of Scripture, so it's hard to pick on one that stands out above everyone else. But from time to time, there's one that comes to mind a lot, and I'd like to tell you about that this morning. I'd like to tell you what lies behind it, a little episode that really got me going. I was a teenager, nearly 20. I was 18 actually, and I'd just been conscripted into the army, so I was in basic training. I discovered that I had a number. It was a long number, and the test was we would suddenly be asked by some non-commissioned officer or other, would say, "What's your number?" And you'd have to shout out what your number was. I recall one day, Sergeant Major came in and he bellowed at me. Have you ever noticed Sergeant Majors always bellow? I think they learn it in Sergeant Major school, sort of bellowing 101. And he bellowed, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Douglas Hambidge." And he looked at my tunic, my number was on my tunic, and he said, "No, you're not. You're 1495046 and don't you forget it." Well, that was very unkind of him. I found then, from then on, I was in the army 3 years, every time we lined up for our pay, we'd be in a small room, a small group of men, we'd have to shout out at the top of our voice our number before we could go and collect our little pittance. So I got sick and tired of being a number. That's what brings me to the text in Isaiah that I really relish. Listen to what it says. "I have called you by name. You belong to me." I love that. I get the sense that in spite of all the millions and billions of people in the world, we're known personally and intimately by God. I'm not just a number in a whole pile of people. I know you by name. I've called you by name. You belong to me. There's a sense of, I'm not just drifting through life unattached. I have a sense of belonging somewhere. You know, at a time like this, I get so tired of being asked what my password is. I never remember. So I'm constantly being told I've got to renew my password or strengthen my password. And 1, 2, 3, 4 is not an acceptable password. Now it goes on and on and on. You can't do anything without a password or a PIN. Well, I suppose that's all very well, but, you know, I like to think that all the time God is saying to me, don't worry about that. I have called you by name. No matter what the world calls you, whether it calls you 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1495046, it doesn't matter. I have called you by name. You belong to me. And that makes me feel that I have a sense of being part of God's family. God knows me. And that's encouraging.
"I have called you by name, you belong to me. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. And when you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flames shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God."